I need to get ranked up silver 4 with this.
I'll tell you guys a story while we wait.
Oh.
Do I have a story? Yes. Here's my story. I'll tell you about my experience on the highway the other night. No, it's not weird. So Michaela and I, if you don't know, Michaela and I, we were like, yo, let's go. Michaela's my lovely wife. Michaela's my wife and she's awesome. We were like, let's go to the Van Gogh art show because Michaela, she's a graphic designer. Art's kind of her thing. So
I couldn't tell.
15x.
This is what it looked like. I'll show you guys what it looked like real quick. All right, so this is what it looked like.
Art exhibit in Vancouver.
Can't see.
Oh, I don't know if I can play that song, but whatever. That's what it looked like.
Please.
That's what it looked like, right? So we go, and we had a great time. It was really cool to see these walls covered in art. It's like huge walls, like huge room, and it's just projector, and it looked like real art, right? Like they made it look like 3D. It was really cool. So that wasn't the part on the highway. So we start driving back, right? Or no, we get back to the car. You know, we start driving back to our house, and I'm like noticing like the car's starting to turn left. I'm like, what the frick's going on here? At first, it's just a little bit. I'm like, what the frick? What is going on here? Why has my car always done this? And I just ignored it. We kept driving. We were in like a sketchy looking part of town. I don't know what part of Vancouver is sketchy, like other than like Hastings, East Hastings. But I was like, I'm not. I don't know where I was. It was like a road that wasn't actually a road, that didn't look like a road, but it was a road. So I just kept going. I'm like, I'm not pulling over. My car we're driving. I don't hear anything. Everything's fine. So we're just driving. We get down the highway. I'm like, Michaela, you want to see how fast we can go? Meanwhile, the car, it's pulling hard left, and I have the great idea. I'm like, Michaela, you want to see how fast we can go? Because the highway's empty, right? And so I went fast. I'm not gonna say what kind of speed. I'm not incriminating myself here, but I went fast. And then I slow down, and next thing you know, you hear the tire like doof, 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 doof. And now we're hard pulling left. So I'm like, sheesh! And so I crank it right, not crank it. I pull over to the right side of the road. We found fortunately, sometimes there's not always those pull off spots. Fortunately, there was one like really close. So I pulled off, and I get out. I'm like, the tire is flat. I'm like, oh gosh. And it wouldn't be that bad. But here's the situation: the tire's flat. It's 12 o'clock in the morning. I've never changed the tire by myself. Last time I used my tire jack, it didn't work, really. And I've never changed the tire by myself. So I'm like, no, please. And so, yeah, exactly. And so I'm like, but I gotta be the man. I'm the husband here. Michaela doesn't know how to fix a tire. I don't think she's strong enough. No offense to Michaela. I don't think she's strong enough to fix a tire. And so I'm like Michaela. I'm like Michaela. You got to go stand over there real quick because we're on the highway, right? It's super dangerous. Like freaking big trucks zooming by. I'm like, Michaela, you got to go stand over there. I'll fix it. Don't worry. So I pop in my trunk, grab the tire, grab the jack, grab everything I need, right? And I put, I fortunately, I didn't think the jack was going to work. And so I have it between my legs trying to crank it, right? And it works. But it's some freaking miracle of God, it works. And so I got it low enough to get under the car. And so I was able to get the car up. And then my next thought was like, my father-in-law put the wheel on with like a nut gun, whatever you call that, a drill. He put it on with a drill. So I'm like, am I going to be able to crank these off? Because they're on there tight. Yeah, an impact. They're on there tight. So I'm like, with like my whole body, I'm like, and probably some adrenaline too. Because I'm like, I got to get the frick out of here. I got to go home. Michaela, we can't be like, what the heck's going on? So probably with some adrenaline too. I'm just cranking these things. They were front. It was my front passenger side. Yeah, the nut gun. So I cranked this mother. I like, and it loosened. I'm like, okay, now I know I'm doing it the right way, and now I know I can do it. So I get them off. I get the tire off. I'm like, hell yeah. So I get my other tire. I'm like, it's not fitting. Is it the wrong size? Like the hole's not going in the hole, or the things aren't going in the holes. It's not fitting. What's going on here? So I'm like freaking out a little bit. So I I raised the jack it took me like another 15 minutes. I raised the jack. I'm like, okay, it has to fit now. So I try to put it on. Still not fitting. So I'm like, wait. Oh, I'm stupid. I'm trying to put it on backwards. Don't put a tire on backwards. It doesn't work. It doesn't fit. It doesn't happen. So I put the tire on. Everything seems to be good. We're almost home free. I put the nuts back on. I crank them, which later I was kind of scared they were just going to fall off. But I crank them. The tire's on. I'm lowering the jack, and the jack breaks. And I bent the steel bar that you're using to turn the jack. I've literally bent a steel bar. That's how hard I'm going. No cap. Like, I can show it to you guys sometime. I bend the steel bar. I'm freaking out. I'm like, I can't get off my jack. How do I get off my jack? So I'm like, screw it. I'm gonna jump in the car. I'm gonna floor it in reverse, and we're gonna freaking hop off this mother. So that's what I did. I got in the car. And put it in reverse. I'm like, first I was like, Michaela, you gotta back away. This is gonna be kind of scary, kind of dangerous. Floor it in reverse, and we hop off the jack, and everything's fine. The tire's on, and we're like, oh, thank you. And so we drove home. Really scared that the tire was just gonna fly off. That was my biggest fear. I thought it was just gonna fly off the car. We drove home. Everything was fine. I called into work the next day, saying I gotta fix my tire. I can't go to work. Life's good. And that's my story. That was my story time while we wait.
You know, so here I am, right? Here I am. Imagine this. This is my story now. Here I am. It's 1 p.m., 2 p.m. at night. I'm laying in bed.
A.M.
And AM, sorry. And I get a call from Alex Johnson, right? And I'm like, what the fuck's this guy calling me? He calls me and he says, hey, I just want to let you know, thank you for teaching me how to change a tire, because I couldn't have done it without you. I had a flat today, earlier tonight. And I was like, oh shit, really? And he regales to me the story of him changing the tire and doing all that stuff. And then now he comes on stream and he tells in a more truthful tone that, you know, in a way that he told me he knew what he was doing. He in fact did not know what he was doing. He did not know which way to loosen and unloosen the bolts. He put the tire on backwards at first, and then I had to flip it around, put it on the right way.
But I figured it out.
The truth speaker, Alex Johnson, everybody. You know.
I am a man.
He changed the tire, emergency flat on the road.
That's right.
I
on
told
the
him
highway.
to replace his jack because we broke it when I did his brakes. He didn't replace it. Well done.
You know what the best part is?
What's that?
I still don't have a new jack.